Welcome back. It is always a good day when I wake up, I give thanks, and I realize that it's a day that I am allowed to introduce you to a really cool individual, someone with so many intriguing stories about growth spiritually, mentally, and physically. Her name is Jo Eager. I'll introduce my dear friend in just a moment, but first, just a couple quick housekeeping things. The show is growing in leaps and bounds. So many countries. I think we're up to 18 countries. Singapore loves us. Thank you, Singapore. I've been to your beautiful city once in my life, and I could not believe how futuristic and amazing it was. Thank you for listening, for downloading, for sharing, telling your friends about it. It's the only way a podcast can really grow, is if there is a collective consciousness and you say, oh gosh, I really like this show, check it out. So share it with your friends. And I just want to say thank you to all my cities that are listening. Each week when I sign on, I get such a kick out of seeing the different areas on the globe that are listening, from Australia to the United States to Canada to the UK. I just had 6 downloads in the Czech Republic. I don't know why, but I'll take it. So thank you for coming on board. My guest today is not only a dear friend of mine, but such an accomplished woman. She is an author. She is a student of universal principles in law. She is a physical fitness instructor. She is a broadcaster. She's a nutrition expert. I'm usually in a tailspin and my head is just swirling when I hear about how much this woman has accomplished in her very short life. My guest is Jo Eager. Jo, we met years ago when she was doing traffic for a group of radio stations I happened to be working on. She was the best darn traffic, broadcaster in this whole town. Sorry to Cal Walker, but it's the truth. So Jo, welcome to the show. I'm so happy. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for those kind words.
Oh, well, it's true, Jo. All of it's true. You amaze me. I mean, literally amaze me. Jo, you have had, I know the show is about every facet of death, dying, grief, afterlife, wills and trusts, green burial, you name it. And the reason that you're here today is you just authored a brilliant brand new book that I want everyone to know about, that they're really going to love. And the reason why I invited you on the show is because you've had not one, but a couple brushes with actual death that have helped kind of shift and pivot and redefine how you think about things. Let me hold up the book for the YouTube people. Here it is. Jo Eager's brand new book. It's Healthy by Choice, Not by Chance. It's physically, mentally, and spiritually. And it's an easy, cool read, but she dives deep into different stories of her past and also of the things that she has studied and why she is so involved in the pillar, the 3, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, and how she puts them all together. So Jo, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jane. It's great to be here. I appreciate it.
How long was this book in progress? Just because so many people have dreams of writing, and have an idea.
I think tidbits here and there. I would have to say, I'm guessing about 15 years. I'm known to procrastinate when it comes to doing my writing. And I claim, hey, if I need to get the house cleaned, I just tell myself I need to write. And all of a sudden I'm busy cleaning, I got other things to do. But I would say 15 years. And I know that many of the lessons that I talk about, I started learning a little over 20 years ago. I mean, of course, this is our lessons are a lifelong thing and in progress. And we're all, in progress and in our development and evolution, especially spiritual. But yeah, it's taken a while to get it all down in words, and there's other things that always get in the way. So I did try to do more writing during the pandemic, and that helped a little bit. And just talking to people like you who really motivated me to get to get things moving and get it done. So I finally put it out there, and yeah, sometimes surprised. But it's there, and like you said, it incorporates physical, mental, and spiritual, because we're, our whole being, mentally, physically, spiritually, is all connected. And it's just like the universe and all that exists is all connected. It's kind of amazing how our bodies are, all these little cells, and whether they're brain cells or body cells or muscle cells, and they all just connect together to make these amazing human beings that we are. And so, and a lot of things that I've studied too have to do, well, I've studied a lot of spirituality as well, but the physical and the mental are so close together that when things happen, that I might have even, like a pain here or whatever, I'll say, well, why is that? A lot of books that I've read too will talk about how if we aren't, if we're repressing emotions or things like that, they're going to affect our body. And so I've done a lot of reading on that as well. And so through my younger son's diagnosis of type 1 diabetes, I got involved with studies that led into my spiritual evolution. They'd already started back in the past, which I mentioned in my book with the 12 steps of, I was attending Al-Anon and Adult Children of Alcoholics. And I just thought, wow, what a great program. It would be good for everybody. Well, they do have a lot of groups that involve the 12 steps. But the first and the foremost was AA. And it's just a wonderful spiritual program. So I progressed there, and just different books that people recommend, down the line, and reading all of those have added to my knowledge, wisdom, and growth.
I love it. It's really cool because you incorporate the stories of your past and things that have happened to you. You
Yeah.
had a near-death experience by being bit by a rattlesnake and had to be airlifted out of the canyon. You
Right.
have been in a helicopter crash, and it's like, what's going on here? How did you take those experiences, which are very frightening?
Oh, yeah.
How were you able to shift your process, your thought process to accept that? Because, you're one of those people that think, I bring it all on, I accept responsibility for
Yeah.
all of it. How did you figure that out?
Well, that's a good point, because that's kind of how I start with the book, is that we are 100% responsible for our lives, no matter what's happening. And so these experiences, for example, the snake bite, they just really bring it home to realize that we don't know what the next moment is going to bring. So sometimes when I'm driving down the freeway, you'd think I'd be more aware because of these experiences, but it'll be like, oh, I'm here this moment. I have no idea what the next minute's going to bring. And that's a good way to live, really, because you are more aware. And I think when you think about, well, do I really want to do this or not? Do I want to be around this person or not? And it helps you to prioritize, to take that moment and not take it for granted, which we often do. And that's what I talk about in the book a lot too, is being on autopilot, because it's easy for us to, just our minds go wild. It's not just me or you, it's everybody. And the spiritual teachers who are great with meditation will tell you the same thing. Maybe they've mastered it a little bit better, but it's all about practice. We don't learn how to play the piano in a day or learn a foreign language in a day. So it's practice, practice, practice. And so, but really it's just to be living in this moment. And yeah, of course we do have to think about, okay, what do I need to get done today and things like that, but to really slow down. And this has been a good lesson for me. And the snake bite, especially because I'm, always in a hurry. And I had to slow down after that because I couldn't even walk. I was pretty much temporarily paralyzed. I was laying in a hospital bed and I couldn't even lift my leg up. It was down on the ground. And so then I did have a physical therapist, which it started pretty early on. But one day he came in and I thought, oh, let me show off a little bit. And I go, hey, watch this, I had my legs on, on the bed. Here's the bed. And he just kind of lifted it up, just a little bit, but it's like, it was progress. And then when I got out of the hospital, I was in for 15 days, which, was quite a bit. And when I got out, I was basically learning how to walk again.
Wow.
And I was going very slow, and I would look around at people racing by and I think that used to be me. And eventually I got back up to it. And I've had a few times too where it's like, you better slow down. Like if you trip because you're going fast, you're going to fall a lot faster and harder. But I would go one house length and then another the next day. Somebody would go with me. My sister was here, one of my sisters, and then my son would, take me a house length here and there. And then, pretty soon I upped it to say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go out for a half hour, go slow, see how far I can get. And so I just gradually progressed on that. And so, yeah, all these little lessons, and patience, dependence is a biggie because, I want to do it all myself. I don't want to ask anybody for help. And I had to. So that was
Yeah.
also a good lesson for me with that.
What's your takeaway? Not, it's such a rare, it's not rare, but to be bit by a rattlesnake, and it was a little one. So the venom was even,
Yeah, I never did see it. Yeah.
yeah, but as sick as you were,
Yeah,
and as the amount of anti-venom they had to use and all of that
exactly.
in your
Yeah.
recovery. And,
They,
you easily could have died. Um,
I
what
could.
is your takeaway from that particular lesson? Like, how do you say, I know you didn't deserve that. No one deserves anything like that. Um,
No,
how did you up here
well,
and here? How did you deal with that?
right. For me too, because I do want to take responsibility. I was thinking,
Sure.
what was going on when I got bit? And I was just kind of, I was with a friend of mine and I was well, not quite a ways, but a bit ahead of him on the trail, doing my fast thing. And this area that I was going through, very grassy, you couldn't see very well. The path's very narrow. Now it's a good idea to take sticks out there.
Mm,
And no, I was not listening to anything in my ears. I was, when I'm hiking, especially in the winter, we have a lot of waterfalls. So that's my music when I'm out and about. But to have slowed down would have made a big difference because from what I know, rattlesnakes will warn you. So when I
mhm.
heard the rattle, I was in a state of shock. So unbeknownst to me, I'd been bitten. And so I just thought I had the warning. So I turned around and ran back to my buddy, but I had already been bitten. And so I think that, if I'd have, again, slowed down a little bit and then, maybe had a stick to make some noise before going, because I knew that you couldn't see in that area. Well, and it was a short area. So instead I'm like racing through it and didn't have a chance to give that snake a warning. And they do say, like you said, the smaller ones do inject all the venom they have versus if it had been a bigger snake, maybe it wouldn't have been as bad, but it was close to at least 28, according to my hospital records, at least 28 vials of anti-venom. So it was very severe. And
Very
the first
significant.
night, my friend who I was hiking with, he was, went to ER as well. And he said that, they just figured if I made it through the first night, I'd be okay. So yeah, it was really a life and death situation.
Hmm.
And yeah, I was like, well, what do I need to take away from this? And, I thought about it a lot. And they, at the hospitals, they have um, person like a priest or a pastor come in and you can talk with them if you want to. And I was just like, trying to figure it all out.
Hmm.
And so, when I was walking to that day, I was thinking, I was kind of taking somebody else's inventory,
Ah,
which
interesting.
is which I know better than to do because that's not really in my spiritual program. If I'm going to take
Right,
somebody's inventory, it needs to be mine, right?
right.
So so I thought about that too. And then it was just a thing of, okay, well, let's get it back here. And again, to try to reminders to live in the moment,
Right.
to not take this moment for granted, and that the miracle is right now, right here, this
Mm,
minute.
that's nice. The miracle is right here, right now.
Yeah.
So, what I'm hearing from this experience is a connection to being more mindful
Yes.
and slowing down because you
Mm,
do have a tendency to move very quickly.
yeah.
You teach seniors fitness at the YMCA here locally. Uh,
Yes.
I know you do Zumba, you do pickleball, you do stand-up paddle boarding, you
Yeah.
hike. If I had like
Sure.
half of that energy, it's pretty remarkable. You are on the go. Um, So you finally had to shift and slow down to get healthy by choice, not by chance, out of you and out to the public.
Yeah.
So, and I'll put all the links so people will be able to go purchase this and get autographed copies. And you even have cool bookmarks now that you'll include with your autographed copies. Those are cool. I need
I
to get
know.
one of those.
I
Very
love
cool.
them. I love them.
So
Yeah.
you're telling all these different stories in here. And do you have um, suggestions, solutions, ideas for how we personally can become more aware and mindful and slow down and really, as you said, enjoy the miracle that's right in front of us right here, right now?
Right. Yeah. I mentioned some of them in the book too, but some of them, are not my ideas, but one guy that we used to be in a study group, and he was talking about the plastic bracelets. And so we all got plastic bracelets. And then the idea was when you had well, that was for thoughts too, for like you got a negative thought and you kind of just snapped it and then you'd move it over to the other side.
Ah,
It was,
interesting.
oh, okay, let's go for 21 days. And I've got to the point where I was like, I'd like to go for 21 minutes.
Wow.
Because our minds just go wild sometimes. And it's easy, like when you're out on the road, the freeways, and somebody cuts you off, or this morning, I was at the store and I was waiting for it was going to open in just a few minutes, but I thought, well, I got to use every minute, right, Jane?
Right.
So I thought, well, I had my car door open. There were plenty of parking spaces on the other side of me. And so I had my door open and I was going to do a Spanish lesson on Duolingo while I kept looking to see if they had opened the doors to the store. Well, then all of a sudden this big truck honks at me and scared the heck out of me. And so I thought, well, there's all these places. Of course, my mind's going wild and I'm thinking, thinking things, but I won't repeat. But anyway, so I got out and I just thought, well, okay, I won't do my Spanish. So I hopped out of the car. And when he got out, I said, boy, you really scared me. My stomach is just in a tangle here or whatever. But anyway, when I was leaving, he and his wife were leaving, coming to the truck at the same time. I was just getting ready to get in the car and he goes, honk, honk.
Oh,
I said, honk, honk back at you, but I had a plan to honk at him, but I didn't.
yeah.
It's just those moments where the point was that, long story short, our minds just drift and go wherever they want to go. And to
Right.
stop ourselves, sometimes just wearing something different. Oh, maybe you don't wear rings, put a ring on or whatever. Something that feels different or just reminds you to get present. I have a church up the hill. I can hear the church bells, and when they ring 3 times a day, it's just a reminder I stop what I'm doing. And it was like the other morning was really great for me. It was 8 a.m. and I hadn't really done a meditation. So if nothing else, it's like take this minute of silence, and that's a minute of meditation.
Right.
And to connect with spirit. And things went really smooth that day as well. So it does make a difference, I think. I mean, not always, but you kind of count on it. Also, I have a bracelet that vibrates once an hour. And it reminds me to stop and pause, be present, give gratitude. And then also in the book, speaking of gratitude, I talk about our Miracle Morning Project, well, our PMJJ, which is our Project Miracle that Jane and I do. And we email each other every day. Well, pretty much every day. I've skipped a couple here and there.
Yeah.
But it's a great thing because just, gratitude is so important. And I think, most people can understand that, but to really stop and take the time to do it, it makes you stop and think, oh yeah, what is, and sometimes it'll be big stuff, but sometimes it's just, well, oh, the birds are singing to me right now. Wow, what a beautiful voice that bird has.
Right.
Wonder what she's saying.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, that project, it's PMJJ because it's Project Miracle Jane and Joe, or Joe and Jane.
Yeah.
When we started it, I think it was supposed to be 60 days.
40, I think. 40.
Oh, it was 40?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's right, because it was Melody Beatty, 40 Days of Gratitude. And at the end of it, at the end of the 40, you were like, you want to keep going? I said, sure. I have no idea how many years it's been now.
I know. I was just going to say that. Is it 4? I think we're going on 5.
It's hilarious. And I love it
10 things a
because,
day.
yeah, every morning, well, most every morning, sometimes you're traveling or you forget, you do it at night,
Yeah.
whatever. But it is one of the first things I do. And the great thing about getting a miracle partner is no judging. They don't need to comment on anything that you're grateful for. You can get things off your chest too, because the
Yeah.
whole point of it is to kind of flip it and then find that which you're grateful for,
True.
even in a situation that's not so yummy. And let's face it, life can throw us weird curveballs. And
I
so,
know.
and not to spiritual bypass by any sense of anything, because both Joe and I are very realistic about the trials and tribulations. I had
Yeah.
a thought while you were talking, and I think on your epitaph is going to be, hopefully when you're 108, she lived every single second of every single day.
I like that.
It's you. That's you. So you've had these other experiences. You went through really scary landing when you were still doing traffic in the helicopter. The helicopter missed the thing it was supposed to land on and crashed. Like, it was frightening. It was on all the news stations. I'm holding my breath because I'm texting you every 5 seconds and not getting any response because, your phone's in the helicopter that almost blew up. Um,
Yeah.
what was your takeaway from that near death or near
Yeah.
brush with death experience?
Right, in a helicopter. No, seriously, it was very scary. It was really different from the snake bite in the fact that the snake bite was prolonged, this, 15 days in the hospital, building my energy back. This happened so fast, and I was in a state of shock, I'm sure, and just trying to figure out how to get out of there. But it wasn't a thought. I had this feeling, and it was just, I don't want to die. I'm not ready. I don't want to go yet. And
Right.
it was just a feeling. It wasn't like I thought, oh, yeah, I'm not ready to go. And very quickly, one of the guys that had been working in the hangar, one of the mechanics there, ran over, which I was glad because I was trying to figure out how to get there. Oh, another thing too, we landed on the side where I was, no, not like that. Oh, so I was on top of the equipment, where if it had been the other way around, although we had a lot of heavy equipment in there and it was strapped in, but if it had come loose, I mean, I would have been pinned in there too.
Right.
But you hear about these things happening and going up in flames, and that's what was going through my mind.
Right.
And is this it? I'm not quite ready. And then when he came over, I was like stuck in my seatbelt because I mean, we didn't have the pilot had a harness. I didn't. It was just a lap belt. So he was going to help me out. I let him know I couldn't get out of the seatbelt. So he got that undone really quick, got me out of there. And someone was shooting a video, which is kind of good, nice to see it. But I just stood there kind of in a state of shock. And finally somebody came over and got me when the helicopter started smoking and everything. So we all ran from there. But again, the takeaway is, just, to value the moment that we're in. And it's just easy to get on autopilot. So just to have these little reminders somewhere along the line, whether it's a church bell or a vibrating bracelet, that this is the moment. We don't know what the next 60 seconds will bring.
Right.
And to do the things that are important and prioritize, do the things that are important to us, know that, family is important, our friends are important. And sometimes even when it's busy, to try to take that, time out. It could maybe even be 10 minutes for someone that needs to talk or vent or whatever.
Yeah.
And priority.
Your little reminders are enormous. Most people don't have these harrowing things happen. But what a great shift in perception for you to be able to, you no longer do the helicopter thing.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you take a stick with you now when you hike, and probably have much better hiking boots.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
you're probably a lot more aware of when it's rattlesnake season and to stay out of
Oh,
the canyon. So all of those things brought you to writing this book, Healthy by Choice, Not by Chance, physically, mentally, spiritually. I highly recommend it. I was privy to reading it as it was, in the editing stages. And, I purchased my own copy, and I now have an autograph copy, and I've gifted copies, and I'm going to gift more. What I love about this book, Joe, is that there's no fluff in here. There's no BS. It is you, your truth, your courage,
Yeah.
your bravery, and your extreme honesty. Kudos to you, because you were able to, you're a brilliant writer, and you don't get overly flowery about stuff. You're straight to it. You're a good editor, you're a good writer. But this book will be really helpful to people to stop, breathe, think, understand more about how the big noggin connects with this body full of these beautiful cells, and blood coursing through our veins and our legs and our hands, and how everything operates. And then also that connection with that beautiful spiritual side of us. Because it is all connected.
Yeah.
And this book takes your life experiences and weaves them beautifully. And you have different people that you've studied, and you quote, and you also have little tips in here of things that you would recommend to do. So I'm really proud of you.
Thank
Really, really
you.
proud of you. What would you like to share with the Next Room listeners that perhaps I have not talked about or have not shed a light on?
This just popped in my head when you asked that. A friend of mine read the book, and I guess I didn't know if she would take anything away from it or not. I wasn't really sure how she would take the book. But anyway, she was having difficulty with someone in her life, and she was sending the light and love that's suggested in the book. I was talking about a particular person in the book who I was sending light and love to. And so she was trying that. And I thought, well, that's great. I mean, that's what I want. Even if someone just takes one thing away from the book that helps them in their daily journey, because things, as we go along, we might have things that could irritate or frustrate, and just to try to keep cool and calm. But if there's a person out there, to just send them light and love, and know that they are part of what we call the one life, that scientifically has been proven where it's all one energy. And so it's better for us to send out positive energy than negative energy, and think in our minds, bad thoughts about that person, which of course it's easy enough to do, but to send them light and love and hope for the best for them. And, someday they might just come around, hopefully, and make the world a better place. But that popped in my head when you asked that question.
I love that. Send light and love. And it
Yeah.
is about that acceptance too. And,
Yes.
you mentioned AA at the beginning, and that is a phenomenal program, because it's a higher power of your understanding.
Yeah.
And there's little phrases that come from that program, like spot it, you got it, right? So if you're sitting there and you're rant about someone, more than likely you have what you're so upset about in this other human being. You actually have it yourself.
Yeah.
I love that. Spot it, you got it.
Yeah.
And of
That's
course,
good.
the acceptance prayer is something that I have to break out
I know. I had it
on
painted. Yeah. I have a
on a
little painting of that in my bedroom.
little regular basis. Tell us a few more, like, just Joe Eager hot tips. We're going to go down the rocks. We're going to start with physically, then we're going to go mentally, and then we're going to go spiritually.
Okay.
And then I will let you go, because I have a feeling you have like probably 88 other things you need to do today. I'm just guessing, because,
Yeah.
she lived every second of every single day. Um, Healthy by choice, not by chance. Okay, Joe Eager, physically, give me some hot tips.
Move every joint every day.
Mm, very succinct.
Hey, I start like with my class, head to toe. Eyes, people don't think about it. You can do these things at red lights, right? I tell them, you guys can roll your eyes at me now, but back and forth, up and down, horizontal, and then just head to toe. But yeah, movement is very important. And eating right too, but you gotta, even if you're eating right, if you're not moving those nutrients through your body, what good are they, right?
I
So
love that. That's good. Okay, that was the physically. Mentally, what are we doing every day?
thinking good thoughts,
Mm.
like that, like those, I mean, these are my slogans, but what you think about, you bring about. So we want to bring about good. So let's think good thoughts.
Oh, these are all good memes. I'm seeing them pop up on your new Facebook page. And spiritually.
Spiritually is take even just 1 minute to connect with whatever your belief is, whether you use the word spirit, consciousness, universe, God, whatever, Buddha, connect with consciousness. And it's nice if you can do it first thing in the morning to get your day rolling, right? But to take that time, whether can be an hour, it doesn't have to be just a minute, but some people take hours to meditate, but just to take a moment of silence and get your head ready for the day. And then, of course, a little bit of, well, I mentioned in my book too, the savors of Hal Elrod, and to take the silence, put out some positive affirmations, visualize things the way you want them to happen before you start doing them, and then exercise, read, and write, scribe.
I love
Those
it.
are all good things. But yeah, for the spiritual, to just take a minute and connect, whether through the church bells or whatever. Just
I
stop.
love it. I love it.
Well, back even when I was in my 20s, the early 30s, whatever, I used to, I don't know how I came up with this, but when things would get really hectic at the radio station, I just go, oh, I need what do I call it? Sanity break. I call it my 60-second sanity break. And I would just go somewhere, there might be people milling around out in the hallway, but I would just take a second, and I had some pictures on my bulletin board, probably, the kids or something, just to look at that and take a nice deep breath for 60 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, I always think that dogs are pretty much perfection in a being, They go outside and they just soak up the vitamin D, and
Uh-huh.
they just sit there and they just love, and they're just present all the time.
And
So
Jane,
those are
don't
great.
forget, first thing in the morning, they do their downward dog.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And they're flapping their ears. So they're moving their
Yes.
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So physically, you want to move. Mentally, you want to think good thoughts. And spiritually, just pause, stop, take a break.
Yes.
Joe Eager, healthy by choice, not by chance. Physically, mentally, spiritually. If you would like an autograph copy from my good friend Joe, you can do so. It's joe-eager.com. Super easy. Joe-eager, just like it sounds, EAGER.com. And she'll toss in one of her beautiful new bookmarks. There you go. You can find her on Facebook. She has a wonderful new page that she's starting to post excerpts and little hot tips for us. So please go there and support her. And if you don't want to go through Joe directly to get an autograph copy, it's available everywhere. You can get one at Barnes and Noble. You can order it at Target. You can get it at Amazon, the big monster. The cool thing about Amazon, I will say, is if you do order it from Amazon, please go back after you finished reading and write a review. Those, being an independent author myself, I can't tell you how important it is for the author to receive those reviews. It lets us know that our work is being received and loved and appreciated. So on behalf of myself and Joe, I just want to say thank you for that. Healthy by choice, not by chance. The beautiful Joe Eager, my guest today. Joe, I'm going to give you the final words before the end of the show.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And, this book, in the beginning, I dedicated it to you and your health. And so in every way, shape, and form, I wish you all health.
Beautiful.
Thanks for having me.
You are so welcome. I'm glad you took the time to be here. Thank you for listening to The Next Room. I will be back again next week with another wonderful guest. Thanks again for all of you to be involved and to take care of yourself, because your health is by choice, not by chance. And please support Jo Eager in her brand new book. And I thank you for being here on The Next Room.
Thank you.